One day Tigger was hopping through the snow to call his friend, Winnie the Pooh. "You look worried," Tigger shouted. Stopping in front of Dot was sitting on a wooden bench with a jar of honey in his hand. "I'm worried about honey," Pooh Bear sighed, looking into his jar. "What if it's all over?" As he took a spoonful of honey and ate it slowly. "Why should I?" Tigger snorted with a raised eyebrow. "Well, there aren't any bees in the winter, are there? And even though I'm a bear with very little brain, I know that bees make honey," Pooh explained in a serious tone, his gaze starting to darken. "I guess they go to warmer countries in the winter, like swallows," Tigger suggested, bouncing on the snow. "Oh no," Pooh pouted, nodding slowly. "But what if they like those countries better than ours, and they don't come back? There won't be any honey anymore." Tigger shook his head, trying to cheer his friend up. "Cheer up," he cried. "You need some exercise. Come jump up and down with me. It'll make you feel better." "Jump up and down, what's that?" Pooh Bear muttered, confused by Tigger's suggestion. "You know the Queen likes to go for walks, right?" "Well, Tigger likes to go for walks, but he jumps up and down," Tigger explained with typical enthusiasm. However, Winnie the Pooh was too worried about the bees to jump up and down. He just shook his head slowly and looked back at his honey jar. Seeing this, Tigger decided to call for help. A short time later, Tigger returned with Christopher Robin. Double quotes, "Come with me," Christopher Robin said with a confident smile. "I want to show you something." Pooh Bear, although still reluctant to leave his place, did not want to disappoint Christopher Robin. He got up slowly and followed Christopher and Tigger through the cold snow. They trudged through the thick snow to the end of the garden. There, Pooh saw 6 wooden beehives neatly arranged under a large tree. "That's where the bees are," Christopher Robin explained, pointing to the hives. "They'll all come out in the spring, collecting pollen and making more honey." "Oh," exclaimed Winnie the Pooh, his face brightening. "I'm so glad," said Pooh, his eyes sparkling with hope. With a lighter step, Pooh went straight home to open another jar of honey. But this time, he enjoyed it with a sense of relief, knowing that the bees would return in the spring. As Pooh sat in his house, he heard a gentle knock on his door. Tigger and Christopher Robin appeared with big smiles on their faces. "You know, Pooh," said Tigger, "if you're still worried, we could have a backup plan. Why don't we plant some flowers near the beehives when spring comes? That'll make the bees happy and stay there." "That's a wonderful idea," said Pooh, smiling broadly. "That way I can help the bees and make sure I get more honey." Christopher Robin and Tigger laughed as
Pooh
Pooh
licked
cheered
his
up
paw
again.
thoughtfully. "Yes,
And together,
but now I
they
wonder."
began to make plans for spring, with Pooh constantly thinking about the flowers bees liked best. Tigger watched Pooh Bear happily munch on his honey and grinned. "See, Pooh Bear, no need to worry when you've got Christopher Robin and a clever Tigger around." Pooh licked his paw thoughtfully. "Yes, but now I wonder, what do the bees do in their hives all winter? Do you suppose they have their own honey parties?" Tigger bounced excitedly. "Of course, I bet they bounce around their hives like me, buzzing and having a grand old time." Christopher Robin chuckled. "Not quite, Pooh. During the winter, the bees stay inside the hive to keep warm. They huddle together and eat the honey they've stored up." Pooh's eyes grew wide. "So they eat honey too? Oh dear, I hope they leave enough for me." "Don't worry, Pooh Bear," Christopher reassured him. "Bees are very clever. They make sure there's plenty of honey for themselves and some to share with us in the spring." This made Pooh feel much better, but Tigger was now curious. "Say, Christopher Robin, do you think the bees ever get bored stuck inside their hive all winter?" "I know I would." Christopher Robin smiled. "I don't think so. Bees are busy. Even in the winter. They fan their wings to keep the hive warm, and the queen bee makes sure everyone has a job to do. Tigger nodded sagely, as though he already knew this. Smart little buzzers, aren't they? As they talked, Piglet came scampering up, bundled tightly in a scarf. Oh, Christopher Robin, oh Pooh Bear, have you seen the most wonderful icicles hanging from the 100-acre wood trees? They sparkle like stars. Icicles, said Pooh, tilting his head. Do you think bees would like those? They look a bit like drops of honey. Maybe they think it's frozen honey, Tigger suggested, bouncing so high he nearly toppled over. Let's go see these icicles, said Christopher Robin. They sound magical. The group made their way to the 100-acre wood, where Piglet led them to a cluster of trees shimmering with icicles. The sunlight danced through the frozen drops, casting rainbows on the snow. Pooh gazed at them in awe. They're almost as lovely as honey, he murmured. Almost, agreed Tigger, leaning close to inspect one. But not quite as tasty, I bet. Piglet giggled. Oh no, Tigger, you can't eat icicles. As they admired the glittering scene, Eeyore ambled up, his tail dragging in the snow. I see you're all admiring the icicles, he said with a sigh. They'll melt soon, you know. But while they're here, they're beautiful, Christopher Robin said, clapping Eeyore on the shoulder. Eeyore blinked and nodded slowly. I suppose that's true. Even icicles have their moment. Pooh suddenly had an idea. Do you think bees would like a view like this when they wake up in the spring? Maybe we could hang shiny things near the hives to make them feel happy moment. Christopher Robin smiled. That's a wonderful thought, Pooh. Bees are happiest when flowers bloom. I think they'd appreciate your kindness. The friends decided to gather colorful ribbons and shiny bits of paper to hang near the hives, as a welcome for the bees when they emerged in spring. As they worked together, Pooh felt his earlier worrying completely melt away, just like the snow would soon enough. Christopher Robin, he said softly, thank you for showing me the hives. Now I know the bees will come back, and there will always be honey and friends to share it with, added Piglet, smiling. And bounceabouts to go on, Tigger exclaimed, leaping high into the air. Eeyore gave a rare, small smile. And icicles to admire while they last. Pooh nodded, feeling a warm contentment as he looked around at his friends. Winter in the 100-acre wood might not have bees buzzing or flowers blooming, but it was filled with its own kind of magic. And for Pooh Bear, that was more than enough.